Good morning, everybody. I'm broadcasting to you on a Monday morning from my backyard. And though apparently I look really tired, I'm excited to be welcoming you to week 4. Once you've completed the work for this week, it will mean that you are at the halfway point in the course. I think some of you this week started to really feel the rush of the speed that comes with taking an accelerated course. And I know some of you at times probably felt actually buried under these time constraints that normally don't exist for you in this course. Like having to write 3 poems in 4 days and then post them, and then workshop other people's poems within a day or two, and then post a revised version of those poems a few days later. I will not say that this past week was a terribly well-designed sequence of assignments, so I understand if you felt a little insane these last few days. And I also want you all to know that real-world writers are not expected to produce amazing work under those kinds of constraints. I think the important thing to take away from this week's assignments is that the point of writing is often to force yourself just to do it, to be productive even if you don't adore what comes out. My great hope for you all is that you came up with something, even if it's just one line or a small concept this week that made you surprised and delighted with yourself, even impressed maybe with what you can do. At any rate, I've already commented and put grades on your workshops. I'll get to the final drafts when possible, draft 2, but I will definitely be grading largely for the improvements or revisions between the first and last drafts. There's a train. As a heads up, I will not be giving credit for submissions, workshops posted after Sunday, because they are no longer helpful for students to work on their drafts at that point, which is the point of workshops. But I will be giving credit for submission of your original draft before the final one. As for this week's work, compared to last week, you guys have it pretty nice, pretty easy actually. We'll be doing class session 7 and 8, and you'll have only one reading, chapter 7, which is on revision and workshopping. You'll be posting and replying to the discussion board, doing a third journal, doing a reading, and yeah, that's it. The readings for Chapter 7, I think, are especially exciting since they walk you through the thought process of a few writers as they revise their drafts. You'll get to see just how different the first and the last drafts are from each other. I hope you all are doing as much of the readings as is humanly possible, since they are meant to reveal ways that you can improve your writing and try new and exciting things. I'm putting below, as an incentive for you to read, a couple of highlights from Chapter 7. One is from page 198, which may be just before Chapter 7, but anyway. Burroway writes, "It is the unexpected juxtaposition that generates literature. It is the unexpected juxtaposition, putting side by side of things, that generates literature." I think this is something super important to keep in mind as you guys write, especially as new writers, the unexpected. And especially as I notice that some of you are at times very mild, even seemingly shy in your writing, and often you tend to want to just explain everything that's happening rather than give us, your readers, a real inside track to characters' thoughts, feelings, and surroundings. I keep wondering sometimes as I read your work, like, why is everybody so polite? Why is nobody cussing? Why is nobody dying? Why is no one's hair all left up? Don't be afraid to experiment, to do the unexpected, to get gritty. Resist the urge to explain, too. Instead, you want to set a scene, have dialogue, give characters names and real personalities. Let them have conversations that reveal who they are. Get deep. Sometime this week, I will be posting an example of this. which will show you a before and an after story. The before story will be the explanatory, somewhat flat one. The revised version will be the one with more character, more exciting word choices, less explaining, and more description, more dialogue, more movement. Another highlight from this week's reading is from the bottom of 215 to 216, which I believe you'll need to do for your discussion this week. There's this great note from a poet on these pages, which I hope you all will read. It's a discussion / explanation about how many things go into a poem, how a poet works with what she has, and how poems can pull information in from their environment. It's smart, the note, but it's also really open, and it gives you the feel that poems can start out just as a hodgepodge of ideas and take shape after you've gotten all those ideas down. She, the poet, talks about why she made the choices she did, like why 3 lines, which she calls tercets, and not couplets, which are 2 lines. She also talks about music a lot in poetry. It's great stuff. Also, this week I will be posting the wrap-up, or part 2, of Poetry 101, which will tie off my attempt at a quick intro to poetry, and tell you about some of those myths of poetry that you want to be aware of and work to fight against when possible. My comments on your workshops probably came too late last night for you to be able to use them as I thought they might be. But as I said in my last video, I wanted you, wherever possible, to rely on each other. A teacher's comments tend to put too much pressure on students to change their writing style, when many creative writing teachers will tell you that they give comments because they want to push you, to get you to play around, take risks, not to change you. For this week's writing, though, please read and think about the comments I left you in this last week's discussion board, so discussions 5 and 6. Apply them to this week's writing and ideas. Think about what fellow writers have told you about your work. What has stuck with you? What would you like to be trying this week that you haven't tried before? What unfamiliar and maybe uncomfortable things will you do in your writing that might possibly change your work for the better forever? I hope you all have a wonderful week, full of challenging but fulfilling work in and out of classes. Please get in touch if you need anything. Bye for now.